Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Regenerative Business Podcast with Sam Garcia, which is who I am. And I have a special guest today. I have been saying this for weeks, but I'm so excited to have Robin Langford here from Wicked Veracity. She is a traditional astrologer. She is a stoic. She is a witchy human. I don't even know if, do you identify as a witch?
Mhm.
Oh, she's a witch.
Yep.
And she's been on for the last few years giving our annual forecasts. For those who are into astrology but don't know traditional astrology, it is far more accurate and impressive when it comes to actual, I guess, predicting the future. Can we just say that? Yeah, predicting the future. So if you've worked with people who are more modern astrology or archetypal astrology or all of the other types of astrology, and you've been like, this is bullshit, it's because it wasn't traditional astrology. So strap yourselves in. And hi, Robin.
Hello. Yes, I am a traditional astrologer and it is predictive. I do believe fate's a thing. And I do think that the other forms of astrology are exceptionally good at personality things and helping people get to know themselves, but they fall apart a little bit when it comes to predictive astrology, in my experience. Yeah, so let's just jump in. We were talking a little bit before, and I was like, I don't want to say things. And Sam's like, no, say the thing. So we're just going to start off. I'm going to say this. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say Robin didn't want to say things, but I was like, no, the people listening to this podcast are like more prepper type. They know that the world is going to shit and they've been sensing it. Like whether you psychically sense it or you're looking around and you're like crossing your fingers that the American government falls apart. Like this might be our year, you guys.
Not this year, but this is the last, what I would say, semi-stable year for a while, because 2025, 2026, 2027 have a variety of things that are going to be happening that are a little unsettling and that indicate a lot of massive change. And one of the examples that I'm going to give, and there's a bunch, but I'm only going to do the one, is that in 2025, Uranus moves into Gemini. And Uranus has been in Gemini in American history 3 times. And those 3 times were the American Revolution, the Civil War, and World War II. And that sounds scary, which is why I'm like, I'm not really ready to have a conversation about it. But the thing to remember is whether you like the American government or not, all 3 of those movements moved social justice and liberation forward unequivocally and in massive ways. And while they were, war is horrible, et cetera, people dying sucks, right? It's generally necessary in the course of human events to have a war if you want things to change. So, and none of those were objectively bad for everybody, period, right? Like there were a lot of people who made a lot of money. There were a lot of people who got more freedom. I would argue that's pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
And so a lot of good things come out of war, whether people want to admit it or not. And I'm not saying that this will be a war because each thing has looked different slightly, right? But it's like there could be a greater degree of instability, not this year as much, but coming up. And so the way that I'm looking at this year is like a very almost preppery kind of year, which is what we were talking about. And a lot of my magical creatures, which is what I identify. I mean, my clientele tend to be entrepreneurs that are either neurodivergent or magical, and sometimes both. And a lot of my magical creatures have already kind of been like, I want to solidify this. I want more security here. I want less reliance there. And I think that's a lot of what you tapped into with your book, is that feeling that the magical creatures it's been building. And the reason it's been building is because the astrology is moving in that direction, right? And yeah,
the other thing we wanted to preface was if you hear things about this year or future years, it doesn't necessarily mean that that is going to be your personal life experience, because this is the astrology of the collective, not necessarily the astrology that you personally will be experiencing. If you want to know how exact things hit your chart, your personal chart, work with an astrologer, because they will be able to tell you, maybe not work with an astrologer.
Work with a traditional astrologer, not
Yes.
just any astrologer. It doesn't have to be me, but like you want to make sure that they're a Hellenistic astrologer or they say they're a traditional astrologer, because you just do. If you want to work with me, that's great. But if you don't, like that's who I would go to.
And you can hire Robin for individual readings. She's fantastic. And I've only heard insanely positive things about having a reading with her. So her or another traditional astrologer would definitely serve you for like a once a year check-in with how this year will look like for you.
Absolutely. Because there's so many different things that impact whether or not a transit, which is like what the planets are doing at any given moment, are going to have an impact on you. And just some of them is like, where are the eclipses in your chart? Is your chart specifically being triggered by any of the events? What is your annual perfection? There are so many things. And if it's none of those are being affected in your chart, you might not even notice it. You might be like, I don't know, I was on a cruise. It was fine. You know, like
Yeah.
it could be nothing for you. All right. So those are all of my caveats, I think. Right? That's all of them.
We can, we need to.
Yeah. So I'm going to say that January is a really big new beginning in a way that most calendar year New Year's are not. And that's because Mercury stationed direct on New Year's Day, Jupiter stationed direct a couple of days before. There's only one planet in the sky that is retrograde right now, and that is Uranus. And he's like, it's fine that he's retrograde, right? This January, February, specifically January, though, is when if you were going to hustle, that's when I'd be hustling, and I'd be planting all your seeds and kind of getting a really good idea of what would serve you well and what your ideal is, and working towards that as hard as you can, so that even if there's a storm later on, that you have, you have your hurricane supplies, or you have your, what I'm saying, like you have the foundation set as an entrepreneur for what you want. This isn't maybe the best year to do wild and, I don't know, is there ever a good year to do wild and crazy things? I mean, you're going to do what you're going to do, right? But it's a great year to really figure out like what would serve me fantastically, and to be putting that into place and trying to get the habit down. And that's pretty much from January 1st to March 15th. I don't really have a lot of bad things to say about that period. It's pretty functional. I am going to just, if you're not on my email list, you should absolutely be on my email list, because I break it down every week, right? And there's some pretty significant things that are happening in January, and I'm going to go over them very briefly here. January 20th, we have the last Pluto conjunction with a planet that's in Capricorn. It happens at 59 minutes, 29 degrees, 59 minutes. It's like it's the very last inch of Capricorn. And Pluto has been in Capricorn, transforming that area of life for everybody since 2008. And that looked like a lot of the banking crisis stuff that we had, and the housing bubbles, and like all of that, the Bitcoin, the new way that we worked with money, like that kind of thing was Pluto in Capricorn. What it looks like Pluto in Aquarius is going to be, which we had a little preview from like March to June of last year. It looks like it's going to have a lot to do with AI, and how AI is probably going to explode over the next 19 years. That's the best guess that we have right now. And just typically, like if I look at the 200-year rotations, which I've done, there's a lot of tech advancements for whatever that meant in whatever period, going all tech and cultural advancements going all the way back to like 50 AD, like as far back as I can go, that seems to be true. And so that's not a bad thing. It's not a scary thing. And if March to June of last year doesn't ring any bells, it's possible Aquarius isn't super active in your chart. But if March to not March to April, March to June. But if you're like, what is Pluto in Aquarius? What transformation is that going to be for me? These are the dates I want you to remember. February 5th, February 14th, February 17th, and February 22nd. And the reasons for that is because the first three of those, we have Mercury, then Mars, then Venus conjunct Pluto at that 0 degrees. Okay. And if that was significant for you, I promise you're going to notice. And the last one, which was February 22nd, there's a Mars Venus conjunction in Aquarius at like 6 degrees. And so that area of life is going to be super, super obviously highlighted. The other thing I'm going to say is, as far as Aquarius previews go, I actually have a few other dates. March 31st of 2020, there was a Mars Saturn conjunction at the 0 degree of Aquarius point. And it was probably a disagreement or warlike stance in this area of life, or some place that you encounter strong resistance or need to change. December 21st of 2020, I know Sam's going to remember this one. It was the Great Conjunction that we did a lot of work on. That was the Saturn and Jupiter conjunction, and that was at the 0 degree point. And then there was a Mars-Venus conjunction on March 6th of 2022. And so if any of those dates, feel free to go back and write them all down. If any of those dates are like, oh crap, something big happened then, yeah, welcome to your Aquarius era, because I promise you it's going to be a ride.
What I was just realizing is like that is exactly when I had because I'd been writing the Regenerative Business book. I'd been writing it for very inconsistently for, I don't know, 7 months or something. And then in March of 2023, I was just like, I need this book out. I need it out now. And then like spent all of my free time writing to get it out by May 26th. So I'm like, okay, February, what is coming with this?
Yeah, and I mean
think
that's your
Aquarius
10th
my
house.
10th house or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's relevant.
Yeah.
Or North Node, it's something like that.
It's your 10th house. I mean, there might be other stuff there too. I'd have to look, but yeah, I know it's going to be relevant for you in that particular way. And you have like 19 years of transformative growth that's coming. And there's going to be a lot of things that trigger it, but it's just that very narrow window of period of time in February that it's going to get hit over and over so often that I promise you, if you have anything there, you're not even going to need to ask anybody. You're just gonna be like, well, that's obvious by the end of February, right? And I'll tell you, like, that's if you have anything in Aquarius, if you have anything around 0 degrees of Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, and Taurus. Is that right? I feel like that's right. Big signs. I don't know. I'm not looking at anything in my, but yeah, for sure though, Aquarius and Leo around 0 to 2 degrees, I'd say you're probably going to notice. So that's the first part. And then we get, so that's January. Like March is just kind of like, and February is only really interesting to me because you're going to get such a good preview of all the Aquarius stuff, which is, I think, useful since it's the beginning of a 18-19 year thing. And if you look at your Capricorn house and think about how it's changed from 2008 until now, you'll get a taste of how big and how long Pluto transits are and like how much they can change things. Mine was in my 4th house. I had 2 kids, got divorced, built my own house, built my own business in my house, right? That's all 4th house topics.
So it's Capricorn house stuff is what's happening. That's what you're saying.
It's what's wrapping up, and we're moving into the Aquarius.
Okay.
So like, if you want to
I feel like this is another caveat of like, this is slightly more advanced astrology topics that we're just kind of like running through very casually. I'm just realizing that. I'm like, some people don't even know what a house is.
That's true. That's true. But it'll just pay attention to what's new. Like what's new and exciting in February is going to be an indicator. It's going to be a trend for a longer period. How about that?
Yeah.
Whatever seems to be very focused. Also, I think people are just going to get a lot of new insights in January and February, which is another reason that I say it's not easy. It's very productive, but it does have like my green light for it, like until March 15th. So I'm going to switch to March 17th to April 28th, which is what I call the chaos zone. And I don't have really anything nice to say about it. It's a lot of confusion and aggression. We have 2 eclipses and a Mercury retrograde during that period, and a lot of very challenging aspects pretty much the whole time. So for the business people out there, if I'm launching, it's not between March 17th and April 28th. I'm 100% not doing that.
And your vacations.
Or
maybe not if you want to like avoid your family.
I mean, I've done vacate. Like when I went to Alaska, it was during an eclipse. It was during an eclipse window, right? And you can do that, but ultimately it depends on like where it's going to show up in your life. I'm not saying that it's a bad time, but there's going to be a lot of chaos, right? And so one of the things that I tell the people that I work with a lot is there's no point in time where you just need to stop living your life.
Yeah.
Right. There are points in time that you're probably going to need more help managing your mind, or that you're going to need to be more resilient and more adaptable. And so March 17th to April 28th, that's what that is, right? There's more external chaos and there may be more internal chaos depending on where it is in your chart. And you're probably going to have the opportunity to be more resilient. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
Is there any chance that like for people who hear chaos and they're like, good things actually come out of chaos for me? Like maybe that is a time to leverage.
I'm not saying that unless I look at their chart.
Okay.
I'm going to say like, there is no traditional astrologer that is ever going to say the period between March 25th and April 8th is a good time to do something. You aren't going to find a single person that's, I would put money down on that. If they're a traditional astrologer, they would not say that, because that's between two eclipses and there's a Mercury retrograde in the house of the eclipses. No, no, no. Now, there are people who like chaos magic. Go with God. I'm not recommending it.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean like don't do your business, right? Like I'm still going to be running my business. I'm still going to be seeing clients. I'm still going to be living my life. I'm not going into a hole, but I'm 100% planning, just like if like a hurricane plan, right? Like just I live in Hurricane Alley, for those of you who don't know. We plan for a Category 5 hurricane to hit, and then we hope it doesn't. Right? And if I'm looking at the year, that period is hurricane season. It doesn't look,
Maybe batch content ahead of time.
Well, see, but like I don't even consider writing content difficult. So for me, like I'm not anticipating me not being able to write, because I know where it's going to hit in my chart. I know where the drama is likely to be. And this is where like working with an astrologer and just knowing the areas of life that are likely to be more challenging is useful, because it's not in my work sectors. It's in my relationship sectors. I don't have a relationship. I'm not super worried. Right. I'm like, what chaos are you going to bring?
Oh my gosh. I can't wait to hear the behind the scenes now that you just said that publicly.
But that's not going to affect my work, right? Like that's not a work thing. That's some other form of chaos.
And
so
how do people figure out what sector it's in? It's what the house that what's in?
Aries and Libra.
Okay. I have nothing in those houses.
Yeah. Like I'm not like, do we want to, let's cheat and like we'll just give a little preview of what can happen if I have your chart. Most people really like it when I talk about other people's charts on podcasts, because they are like, oh, I didn't know you could do that. So I'm just going to pull your chart up.
I have no planets in Aries or Libra.
Okay, but since I don't remember that, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I don't think, but I think you're gonna probably do a lot of publicity stuff. That's my guess.
Okay. And have chaos. I have chaotic publicity.
Yeah, but okay, but I want you to think about that, right? Like think about chaotic social media publicity. That could be something going viral.
Yeah.
Because chaos isn't inherently bad, but you can't plan for it. That's why when you were like, would you try to manifest something? No, but I would expect things to go probably viral, or for you to unexpectedly get opportunities from benefactors. So like somebody sees you and you go on a talk show or something, right? Like,
well, and these are conversations we've had offline plenty of, like, I feel as though personally, and I don't know about other people, but I feel like when bad things happen collectively, like I actually like personally do really well. Like I handle it well, like weird miracles and opportunities pop into my life. So like when I hear chaos, I'm like, okay, things could actually be good for me.
yes. Yeah, they could, but not planned things, right?
Yeah.
And that's the difference. It's just like, that's why I say adaptable and resilient, because yes, lots of opportunities. And eclipses aren't inherently bad. They're sudden new beginnings and sudden endings, right? And that's not bad. It's just not when I'm trying to plan something that I want to go according to plan.
You don't
which
plan.
Is yeah,
you just have your hurricane plan.
Yeah, but even that is like, which way I evacuate is based off of which way the storm is projected to go.
Yeah.
Right. I still have to be adaptable.
So what about May?
May through June is freaking delightful. I love it. Yeah, May is great. There are a bunch of really, really lovely things that happen. I have it as a green period, May 1 to June 7th, especially if you have a lot of Gemini or Taurus placements.
And for the people in the back, what does a green period mean?
Good things. I don't really have anything bad to say.
So like a green light, you're saying, like
green light, yeah,
red,
yeah. But I'm basically green, yellowing, and red. This is my other green period. So January 1st to March 15th and May 1st to June 7th are my green lights. I like them a lot. If you happen to have significant Taurus or Gemini placements, Lord, it's about to be good. You have Gemini, girl, what? Yours about to be good.
You just know how much I hate Taurus. I don't hate
Yeah.
Tauruses. I just like Taurus season is like the bane of my existence.
Yeah. But there's just a lot of really lovely things happening in Taurus and Gemini. And even if you don't have anything in that area, it's still a nice period for most people. Again, when I say that there are good periods, it very much depends like what's happening in your chart, blah, blah, blah. Okay. I have June 8th through July 31st is just sort of a yellow light. It looks like working hard more than anything else. Like it looks like there's things that people are figuring out and but not hurricane season. I don't dislike it. August 4th to August 28th, so Mercury retrograde. Mercury retrogrades, for those of you who have not been working with me forever, is just a period that's better for reviewing. So like review your copy, review your funnels, review your website. You know, it's not necessarily the best time to start something new. Back up your systems, you know, just like very functional. Yeah.
Let's scoot back to, you said June 8th through July 31st is this yellow period.
Yeah, just
And you're
working.
saying that it's like a working hard period. Do you mean by that like things don't like they're just taking more work, or it's a good like what is the term?
Both.
Face the grindstone?
Yeah, nose to the grindstone.
Nose
Nose.
to the grindstone.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it could go either way. It kind of depends on the person. I think it'll either show up as people wanting to do work that's a little bit harder, like feeling like, oh, I can tackle this thing, or like something happens and they just have to figure it out. It could go either way. But it's like a productive forward kind of movement as opposed to Netflix and chill.
I haven't heard any Netflix and chill periods so far this year.
No, there's not one. You're not going to hear any either. I don't have any coming up.
Not a rest year. Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't. No. There's a lot of opportunities for forward momentum, I would say. And then there's some really good opportunities. You know, like how that's a really, nobody but you and I are going to get this, but Scrum, right? Like where you're doing sprints, there's a lot of sprint periods, I would say.
For those listening, Scrum, I feel like it's less popular now, but it had like a moment in the online business world where everyone was doing Scrum sprints. I feel like there's another name for it, but it's this type of project planning and project working that was based off of usually like app software developers and how they created apps. So like you would work for two weeks hard on this one very specific project, essentially to try and get the next like 2.0 version of the app and the 2.1 version of the app and the 2.2 and like you would keep on doing these like, and then it kind of caught on for a hot second, I don't know, maybe a decade ago in the online business world where people would work in sprints and do like have this 2 week. This is the only focus for 2 weeks. So you're saying that's for the year or specifically this June, July period?
I would say like often, like I kind of see this whole year as there's like little chunks that people are working on one thing and they go work on the next thing. And it's like, it seems very, very distinct to me. Like, oh, you're working on X project, January and February. And then March and April, there's something else you're working on. And then May and June, and then June and July. And then August is its like own little beast. And that's very Mercury, like almost all of August is Mercury retrograde. And so that to me feels like August is very much a reviewing what you've done kind of period, even more so than some of the others, because immediately in September, we go into eclipses again. And so September 16th to October 16th, I have as a red zone for a couple of reasons. And now we're getting to the part of the story. So September 17th is the first eclipse in Pisces. That's a new cycle. That's where the eclipses will be in 2025. October 2nd, we have our final eclipse. I think it's the last one in Libra. It's for sure the last one this year. And that'll be wrapping up the Libra Aries eclipse stories. And on October 4th, Mars hits his retrograde shadow. Mars is going to, here's the thing. Mars is going to be in either Cancer or Leo for like 8 months. It's only going to be in those two signs. And so he first goes into Cancer. I didn't write it down, so I'm just going to look real quick. first goes into Cancer on September 4th. And then he goes into Leo November 3rd. And then he goes back into Cancer and then back into Leo, and he doesn't leave until June 17th of 2025.
What are the flavors of Mars
9
in
months.
Cancer
Sorry.
and Mars in Leo?
Mars in Cancer is like a warrior in full plate metal splashing around in the ocean trying to attack somebody.
And that's and we're the warriors, and that's how we feel.
Yep.
Great.
Yeah, it's not a fun time. That's not where we want Mars to be.
So we're fighting for our lives, but it's almost what the picture that comes in my head is like I had in my dream, not that much lately actually, but I used to have this reoccurring feeling in dreams where you're running and you can't move. Like you're moving at super slow speed, almost like you're trying to run through really dense water.
Yep. That's Mars in Cancer, and he's going to be there for like 6 months total. It's ridiculous. And it's not a bad, like if you're hearing this, you're like, well, I have Mars in Cancer and I blah, blah, blah. Great.
You're going to love it. You're going to feel so comfortable. Maybe not love it, but like you're going to feel this is going to be familiar.
Yes.
And for people who don't know Mars
is action. Like it's how you take action.
It's like your masculine drive often, like this.
Sure. Like the yang part of the, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It would, and people, there are political correctness things that I'm going to blow out of the water right now, but Mars is masculine energy, feminine energy is Venus. And it's a polarity, and every human has both. You have both in your chart, you have both in your makeup, right? Like it's not that I'm saying this is female and this is male. It's literally just the masculine principle and the feminine principle. And Mars does not like to be in Cancer. He's not a fan. Passive aggressive sometimes, not because they're trying to be manipulative, but because being aggressive feels so uncomfortable that the only way sometimes that Mars in Cancer will make a move forward is in, think about, okay, you know how crabs actually move side to side, but they still move forward? That's very much Mars in Cancer. Right? Like it has trouble going directly forward because
I love that.
Yeah. And then Mars in Leo.
Yeah, I was about to ask. Tell me.
But you know the dude that was in Gladiator? Yeah, there you go.
Russell Crowe? Is it Russell Crowe? Is that the guy?
I don't know. I don't actually. But yeah, that movie, like where he's like all buff and like his whole life is killing things, and it's like very rare, very like warrior-y.
So does that feel good? Like, because I know when righteousness feels good, like it might not like feel good to like be against it, but I'm like, it kind of sounds righteous to me. Like, but when you're in the feeling of righteousness, it feels good.
So full disclosure, my Mars is in Leo, and you've seen me get angry. That's what Mars in Leo is like. And I do get very righteous when I'm angry. Like if I really am angry, when I was a kid, I was a Christian. And I wanted to be Michael's apprentice. No joke. Michael is the right hand of God. He's the sword of God. He's the justice of God. I was like, I want that job. How do I get that job? And they're like, no, Robin, that's an angel thing. Well, but y'all said when I die, I could be an angel. Well, but not literally. And I'm like, well, then why did you say it? I thought that was a possibility.
So is this a scenario where we're going to get angry at things and it's going to be productive?
So let's look at the timeline, shall we? So the elections are in November. Okay. So Mars is, I want to make sure I'm looking at the right timelines.
I feel like everyone's already upset about.
They're going to get more upset. It's not going to get better. So Mars goes into Cancer September 4th, and November 3rd, right around election day, Mars goes into Leo.
Wow. So November 4th is usually election day. Yeah. So it's like literally
right around
4. Oh my gosh.
So thinking about that righteous anger, right? That's what's going on.
Like actual violence will happen? Because you were like referencing Gladiator.
I'm not comfortable making that kind of prediction without looking at other factors. I will say that November 3rd is when Mars goes into Leo, and he stations retrograde December 6th. which is generally when around the time the elections are actually finalized and called and everything, right?
Mhm.
And then he goes into Cancer again January 6th.
So there's going to be like some weird, like recalling the ballot thing. And
Yeah. I mean, that's what I will say is I think there's going to be election shenanigans. And
I
I think
mean, I feel like they're already happening.
I'm just saying, like, I don't see how we get away from it. It looks very contentious or right around the election period with the way that Mars is stationing and a few other things are happening.
Yeah.
Pluto goes back into Aquarius November 19th.
So
And
main stuff happening in post eclipses, the main stuff happening in October and November is this Mars stuff, or is there also other things happening?
it's mostly Mars. We also have, so Pluto goes back into Aquarius for the final time on November 19th.
Mhm.
And then it's full steam ahead in Aquarius because he spends like 2 months. So he comes back out like end of August, beginning of September. He goes into Capricorn. The other thing in the end of the year, October 16th to the end of the year, I have as yellow. I don't even have it as red, right? But we do have a Mercury retrograde from November 25th to December 15th. And that Mercury retrograde shadow happens right around election time. And Mars retrograde is in Leo. It starts in Leo on December 6th and ends in Cancer on February 25th. Yeah. I mean, the fact that we haven't, the other thing that I didn't mention about the eclipses in March and April is that they go across the United States, one side or the other. Full solar eclipse. Last time that happened, Trump was elected. There's a lot, and I don't even care what people's politics are about Trump, whether you love him or you hate him, or you think he's a devil or you think he's a savior. Like, I don't really care. Nobody can deny that it created massive upheaval in the United States with him being elected. There's like families torn apart, blah, blah. And that happened after the other great American eclipse, right? And so even if it's not him, it doesn't look, between that and Mars, the elections don't look,
Oh,
no,
easy.
no. No. And is that going to have anything to do with your business? No idea. Don't know what your business is. Might be great for business if you're a button maker and you're making buttons that say, go vote for this guy and go vote for that guy. It'd be great for your business, right? Like,
Yeah.
or if you're a political commentary person and you make a lot of money doing that, like I can think of some Instagram influencers that I follow who are full on, it's mostly politics, right? Like I fully expect that
Well,
their
I mean,
businesses will blow
even
up.
I feel like even just okay, yes, with buttons and all those things, but often for online businesses, a key part of having a really solid following, people who will fight for you and your business, like, is having very controversial stances, like, or not necessarily controversial, but like having very, like, I'm putting my flag in the ground on this thing, whatever that
Yeah.
thing may be. And it sounds like Mars and Leo can help with that. So you could actually use this time period and use the emotion of anger. Anger fueled posts can actually be the most viral posts you have, the most shared posts you have, the posts that actually solidify people's love for you because
Okay,
it's, go ahead.
okay. Let's dial that back a tiny bit. I don't want to say anger. I want to say passion.
Yeah.
Well,
But
there's a
I
difference.
actually think anger is a very useful emotion to fuel posts by. Not like all of them, of course not.
Yeah.
But there is anger and passion. This
Yeah.
Mars is this action-oriented thing.
Yeah.
People will take action when they tap into their anger. There's no question about it. So it can, I want to just lean into the potential that this could be actually an amazing time period for you to actually make a name for yourself, to have people fall in love with you, to have your business do extremely well.
Sure.
Sure. I'm
I
calling this in for all of us.
Yes. Well, I mean, I would rather people not, I mean, I know that anger is useful and sometimes that's the only way that people can make a change. It's also because it's such a volatile period. Typically, when people are angry, that becomes an us versus them
Mhm.
mentality that is dehumanizing occasionally. And I've seen it a
Occasionally,
lot.
no, you have to do it gracefully. No, but Simone Soul, a client of mine, a client of yours,
Yeah.
she, like, one of her top 10 tips in having a successful business is to tap into your anger and talk about things that you're angry about, because you'll actually put passion behind it. It doesn't have to be this like we're tearing down the world. Of course, I'm all for that too, but you actually having a stance on something is extremely useful in online business.
So this is where y'all can tell, if you know astrology, that I have a lot of placements in Libra and Sam doesn't have any, because I am very much
I also have Mars essentially conjunct my rising sign.
Yes,
so.
you do. Yes, she does. Yeah. So, and my anger is very, I'm warlike. You know, I am.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm all about total warfare. It's just that
video game. I feel like it is.
Is what?
Total Warfare.
Oh, it is. It is a name of. It's also a war strategy, which we might disagree on if you were to look it up. Where was I going with this? I was going with I think that there's so much contention and volatility and hate that is a possibility that that I am not going to get behind. I'm just not. I am not going to say lean into your anger. I'm going to say lean into your passion and what you're passionate about, while also remaining aware of the fact that even if these people have directly opposing views, they're still humans.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's the potential for people to forget that.
Yeah.
And maybe not your people, or maybe you hope it's not your people, but I'm a historian first and foremost. For those of you who don't know, that's what my undergraduate degree was in. That's what I taught for a really long time. That's what I freaking love. The divisive nature of some of these transits makes me just want to remind people that those people that you disagree with, those people who are doing horrible things in your opinion, or even if you want to put it as an objective fact, right? There's still stuff going on in their brain that got them there, and they're still humans, and there's still a place for compassion. And I used to use World War II as my favorite example because it was one of the periods that I focused on. Individual Germans didn't hate the people that got put in the concentration camps, right? They got riled up because of the political situation and because they thought that somebody else would stop it. And some of them got riled up because they just wanted to feel powerful. And there are all these different reasons, right? But like Germans as a whole weren't horrible people, right? And I don't know. I guess that doesn't mean don't fight back. It does mean that not paint with huge broad strokes. And it's going to be real easy to do that when Mars is pissed off and retrograde. It's going to be real easy for people to just be like, nah, you like, let's say you like Trump, you're the devil. There we go. Or you're a Democrat and a woman. Clearly you shouldn't have any rights. You're too stupid to think for yourself. I should be able to do all that. And we've seen some of that happening already. It's not like we haven't. And I want you to think back to the Venus and Leo retrograde and how some of the women's issues got pulled up and how many rights we've lost very quickly. I don't know. I just think that there's a lot of volatility.
Yeah,
So
but sometimes, I mean, in going back to the original or the beginning of this conversation where
social justice and moving it forward.
Yeah, and sometimes war and violence and things are necessary in order to fix some long-standing horrible things that happen during quote unquote peace and have been happening for decades, if not hundreds of years.
100%. Here's the thing. I just figured out how I want to say it. There are children on both sides. The children aren't the enemies. And so extremism is what I'm afraid is going to happen. It's like, you know, where people get very extremist and they do things that even if they're on the right side of history, it was the wrong thing to do. You know what I mean? Like I would say that I think most people would be like, hey, America going up against the Nazis and ending Nazi occupation was a good thing. And Americans like bombing children in Hiroshima, maybe not a great thing. Maybe there was a better way. Right. But we weren't trying. We were just trying to brute force and end it. And I guess that's the thing I'm saying is like, there's still.
No, I know. It's an interesting week to talk about this because they're literally I've been like anti-federal government for a long time, but like I was pretty confident about the local government being okay up until like these last couple months where they're trying to put a toxic waste dump next to our farm and move the toxic waste from an already toxic area to a new place right above a mother coral reef, and do it in the stupid possible way with the 99% of the community vocally against it, and they're still moving forward with it. So like we're about to do like straight up civil disobedience against it. So like I'm kind of in this Mars stuff right now, and I'm like very like I don't think it might be quote unquote extreme, but there's some bullshit happening. Anyways, we have only a few more minutes.
Yeah.
Did we get through everything? Because I can do a quick
Yeah.
recap. We got through everything. Okay, so we saw January, February is a green period. It's a great time for hustling and planting seeds all the way through March 15th. And if you have any Aquarius placements, you're going to feel it. It sounds like in a positive way, right? Yeah, maybe.
I think it'll be interesting. I don't think
interesting way.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting.
You said March is pretty meh, but March 25th through March 17th through April 28th is like this maybe the worst time of the year of chaos, confusion, aggression, and so hold tight for 6 weeks. 6 weeks is a long time. So like
I know. I mean, this is like if you go to some of the traditional astrologers, there's some parts of the end of the year that not everybody's going to agree with me on. It's for me, I think it's the most opportunities to learn resilience and adaptability. And so I'm not saying it's not a good time I think you're just going to have to figure things out. I think it's going to be a lot more of it's also the other thing I'll say about it is there's a lot of trying to move forward, not being able to, and there's a lot of having to review and a lot of weird fact-checky things. It's like there's just a lot of confusion around that period because there's Sun-Neptune conjunctions, and I mean there's a bunch of Neptune conjunctions, which is just confusion.
And then May and June, you said it was delightful, green period, do all the things, feel amazing. If you have Gemini and Taurus, it's going to be extra good for you guys. And then June 8th through June 31st is a yellow.
July
not
31st.
necessarily bad, but it's gonna like it's a working hard period. It'll be productive forward momentum, but it'll definitely like feel like work.
But like that but you remember like whenever you were writing your book, like you were just nose down, right? Like you were like, I'm just doing this, but you didn't feel bad.
Yeah. No, I like that feeling personally.
Yeah, I did too.
August 4th through 28th, this is Mercury retrograde. It's just a review reflection time, nothing else really happening. And then September 16th through October 6th. What?
So July 8th to July 31st, I have as like very working focused. I would say August is challenging.
Okay.
It's more challenging than
the months before.
Yeah. And it's like leading up to the September, October eclipse zone, right? Like August is when it starts getting challenging. September, October, we just have a bunch of stuff that sort of adds on.
So that's like the red period when we really are like.
Yeah, I don't think it's as bad as the first eclipse. Like the eclipses at the beginning of the year, I think are harder. But it's also important to just remember that this is going to start being like where the election stuff kicks up real high.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of sudden information that gets changed and more aggressive stances that are going to be taken. And then we also have a Mercury retrograde and Mercury shadow period. Like, and so it's just more, it's less, the first half of the year is more effective, I would say. It's going to be easier to be effective in the first part of the year.
And then you said that November, December, after October 16th through the end of the year, it's a yellow period. So like not sweet green, but it is not red. And it sounds like a very collective time with that Mars stuff and the election stuff. So stuff is going to be like flying around.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little chaotic. I think it's going to, between the eclipses and the Mercury retrogrades and everything else, I do think that there's going to be some interesting.
And then overall, this is our last stable year for a while. Not to say it's going to be an easy year, but 2025, 26, 27 is going to be more instability. So this is a great year to really, I just broke a pen, to really ground into or
Yeah.
lean into creating stability and using this year to create stability for and prepare and create resilience, build resilience for the future years.
Yep. Absolutely. And I mean, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a lot of what the hard work looks like, is like, what is it that you want to stand for? Right. And that's part of what you were saying. And I'm not disagreeing that people need to take a stand. It's just, my gosh, there's so much anger, and there, which I'm not saying that anger is bad either. God knows, like, I have a temper. It's just figure out where your lines in the sand are. You know how people say, I'm not going to die on that hill. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you can plant your flag. I think this is the year people are going to figure out where their flags are going to get planted.
Yeah. Yeah. You have
Like,
to,
that's
hold back. You can't fight for every cause. Even though
exactly.
all the causes are valid, not all of them, but plenty of causes are valid, but
Well, but there's so many of them, right? Like, there's so many injustices in the world. There really are.
yeah.
And you can't effectively fight for all of them.
Yeah.
Right. And so what are you going to fight for?
Yeah.
And where does your family come in on that? Right. Like, how is that, like, you specifically, one of the reasons that this is your cause is because it's literally on your back doorstep.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And there's no way that any of us who don't live there can really and truly understand the impact of, and the fear that comes along with a toxic waste dump being put right next to our home.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And obviously that's going to be your cause. Obviously it should be. And I think that a lot of people, instead of looking globally, they are probably going to start looking more like, okay, but what about me and my rights? Like, a lot of women are focused on other areas, but in some states, like where I live, our rights have been ripped away from us. Like, I'm literally like, when women have only had credit cards for like 5 years longer than I've been alive. And I'm looking at some of the rights that are being rolled back, and I'm like, might be something I'm interested in, because I would like to have personal autonomy when I hit 70, you know? And I think that'll be some of the decisions people are making. It's like, what political issues are you going to be voting around if you can't vote for all of them because the candidates are so dispersed, right? Like, what is your issue that your thing?
This is so good, Robin. Thank you so much for coming on. Go to wickedveracity.com to, book a session, but at least get on the email list. Every week, Robin puts out a weekly email that literally goes day by day of what the energy of the week is going to be, or it's also on your podcast. So you could like listen if you're a listener versus, you don't do that anymore.
The podcast is getting relaunched later this month with an astrology thing, and it's not going to have any of my forecasts. I'll be talking more about.
Okay, so definitely get on the email list. What is your podcast going to be about then?
I'm going to be talking about the way to think about astrology and the way to think about the circumstances, because I do get a lot of people who go, oh, that's really good, or oh, that's really bad. And I'm like, I never said that. Not the words that I used, because I don't think that any of it's good or bad. I think it's neutral, and you get to experience it however you want to. And I'm going to be talking a little bit more about that and how I think about each of the planets and signs and everything, give people a way of thinking about them. My Instagram, I also put out daily.
Yes, I hate email, so I never look at email, but I tend to be like, what the fuck is happening today? This feels weird. And then I go look on your Instagram, which is wicked.veracity.
It is.
Yeah. And being like, what is happening, and seeing if it's similar or not than what I'm experiencing. But thank you, Robin. Thank you all for listening. Definitely DM both of us to let us know what you're doing to prepare for your resilience this year.
So good.